All right, this is MS Office Hours. Today is February the 20th, 2020, so 02202020. It's a lot of zeros and twos. And today we're going to talk a little bit about enabling the Edgeless campus inside of your organizations. And what does that really mean? Well, what are some of the cool things that we can do, some of the latest things from Microsoft that really make it easy for people to work anywhere, anytime, on any device, and be able to access any app or any piece of data, right? So that Edgeless campus is something I stole from Creighton University many years ago, but I love it, so I keep sticking with it. And so we're going to jump into it here. I'm going to share my screen. There are a number of topics that we're going to cover. For those of you who got my email earlier, you'll have some links to this stuff, so you'll have the references, can follow up to that. Otherwise, after the call, I will be posting those links into the community call channel for all of you. So I'm going to get started here. One of the things that I want to make sure that you guys all have seen, because I have found out in the last couple of months that as I've been out touring the country and talking to folks, not everybody uses office.com. So interestingly, this is where we'll start, and our story will begin here. So right before we started the recording, we were talking about Delve and the Office graph and how Delve surfaced content automatically. And how has that evolved and what's different? And really, it's this office.com page. Now, I literally use this all day long. I have this open constantly. This is how I access all of my applications. For those of you who are longtime community members, you know that I do everything web-based. I only use my rich apps when there's some capability I need that's beyond the web applications. So typically for me, that's once a week. I open Outlook and Word and Excel to actually process all of the mail merge stuff for new invitations into Office Hours. Otherwise, I do everything in the web. So what's cool is when I come in here, this allows me to launch all of my applications right into a web browser. So if I hit Word, just like you would think, it's going to open up Word right there for me. And this looks just like the rich application, right? You guys are all used to that. Nothing new there. The great news is it doesn't matter what computer I'm on. I can be in an in-private browser session, anything else, access all this. So any computer, any device, that type of stuff. And what's neat is all that stuff from Dell is starting to show up right here. So I can see Sam, who's on the call, some stuff he's been working on pops right up there. I can see the things I've been working on, including my own OneDrive information right down here as well.
Hey, Preston, your audio is sounding kind of rough.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like you're real far away from the mic, even though you aren't.
Sounded like your headset cut out.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to fix that little problem by changing.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
I'm going to just switch audio. Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do this instead, and we'll just use a speakerphone. Hopefully we don't get any feedback or anything. Makes the background look better anyway. All right, so thank you for that. And so what we're looking at here is all these things just pop up automatically. Here's the big thing. I have all my recent applications from any device, my mobile device, my PC, anything else. I can also see my pinned applications pinned files from any application that show up here, as well as things that are shared with me. And this is really the stuff from Delve, right? Discover. We're recording this, so I'm going to click away from that real quick. Please don't pause the video and look. I have no idea what showed up there. But this is what I use as my homepage all day long to launch everything. Interestingly, it turns out I'm kind of a weird duck. I don't know if you guys know this, but most of you don't use the web for Office all day, every day. At least that's what I'm told. So look at this. This looks exactly like what we were just looking at, except it doesn't have the dark mode, but everything else about it has the same search capabilities up here. I can search everything. So my search isn't just for files. I can search people. I can search sites. Again, I talked about Sam, who's on the call. So I'll pull up Sam here real quick. From here, I can see all kinds of information, all of his contact card, all that loads up. I'm going to close it before it loads just for Sam's privacy, because I like him. But you can see I do all that from right here. Now, interestingly, this is not in a web browser, if you notice. This is actually an application called Office. As a matter of fact, I have it right here because I'm so used to using that as my homepage that on my computer, I want that if I'm going to work locally, especially when I'm in an offline mode. I want to be able to use that. So I use this Office app, which is a universal app from the store. Let me show you guys exactly what it should look like. Oh, I thought it was already loaded up. It's not. I don't want to make this too easy on me, apparently. But it's actually kind of difficult to find in here, interestingly. When you search for Microsoft Office, you'll find out you get all kinds of things But what's important is to look for the right one. So what I have to do to find this is, oh, there it is I come in here, click on Microsoft Corporation. I can see all the stuff from Microsoft, and I'm looking for this one. So if you search for Microsoft Corporation, all the apps that we publish into the App Store, you will find Office. This is the app that I have running. It looks exactly like office.com. And that has all those same things we just talked about. Now, why is that so interesting to me? Because that's actually what's in the new mobile app, right? So the fun thing here is we've talked about, and I'm going to pull some more stuff over here. Grab a different window. Hold on. So we talked about, we just announced we're out of preview. We went GA with the new Office mobile application, which I think is really cool. As you can imagine, I love it because it's just the same thing. Word, PowerPoint, and Excel included in a single app with all of that stuff from Office in a single mobile application. In fact, the blog post that announces this is one of the things that I have in those links that I sent out via email, and I will post into the team, and you can find out more about it. But I wanted to take just a minute and actually show you guys this. So I am going to, from my phone, attempt to join this meeting and then share my screen. So I'm going to stop sharing my desktop. All right, now I'm going to share my screen. So this is my personal phone. So anything that pops up, please don't think too little of me. You never really know. All right, share screen. Okay, so hopefully you guys can, is everybody seeing my screen? Anybody want to feedback on that?
Yep, good to go.
All right, showing up on my side now too. So look at this. This is the new Office application right on my iPhone. Should be just the same available on your Android device if that's what you have as well. And what's cool about it, you see all the same pinned files. And note, they're not just Excel. There's PowerPoint and Word in there as well. And one of the new features that's in here are your sticky notes. So if you use sticky notes like I do on your Windows device, they show up right inside of OneNote. Already, there's a special little tab at the bottom right for sticky notes, but they're also right here inside the Office app. So they're in Outlook as well. So your sticky notes are actually stored in Exchange, I think, because they show up right in your Outlook application. They show up right inside of here. So this is great. Makes that sticky notes app much more viable. And now I can use it because it's all synced across all of my devices and available to me in the web or rich clients. So I have all the things I've recently edited this week, everywhere else. Very, very cool when I do that. Now, there's some other features I wanted to show off here. Obviously, I can come in and create a new note or new documents, but I also can do this like new lens. I don't have anything great that I would use for this, but maybe this would work as a document. We'll just see. So just like Office Lens, I take a picture of what's on my screen here. It's asking, okay, what is this? It looks like a document. I'll say next. And so now it's going to let me save that directly from taking a picture and install it as a document. What's even cooler about that is if you've used Office Lens a lot is when we go to these actions over here on the bottom right, and you'll see that I can do some more stuff with this, like being able to take a picture of something and have that turned into text, right, to extract the text from the picture, or have the image become a table. So if I'm taking a picture of a table, I can pull that right into a spreadsheet, right? So very handy. Obviously, it doesn't pull the calculations and things from the background, although I've had people ask me that. Maybe at some point it will use some AI to determine if that was a calculable field from the other fields it sees. I don't know. That's actually brilliant. Somebody should pass that on. Maybe I will. Do more with PDFs, right? So you can sign a PDF, scan a PDF, save pictures of PDF, documents PDF, even scan QR codes to open files or links. So when somebody sends you that QR code. So I thought all these things were really cool. I'm very bullish on this app, although I just installed it today because I couldn't get into the preview for a couple of reasons, but very excited to have this. I'm looking forward to using it. Why does all this matter? I bring this up because this conversation of An edgeless campus really means not just how do I give you access to things, but how do I make sure it's easy and consistent so that when you're on your computer, it's exactly the same as when you're on your phone. So I'm really encouraging you folks to use the office.com or the Office Universal application I showed you, so that with your users, so that when they go to their mobile phone, it is literally the same experience across all three. If that becomes their sort of place to work from with Office, that's wonderful. Obviously, Teams is that sort of ultimate hub where I can work and collaborate and communicate and do all that stuff in real time. But if I need access to the greater Office 365 through the products, this is the best way to get to it, in my opinion, because it's the most consistent. All right, with that, I'm gonna try to figure out how to stop sharing my screen here. Stop, boom, hey, look at that. Not bad for the first time I ever tried to do that. I'll credit a gentleman by the name of Jethro, who taught me how to share my iPhone directly into Teams. I always thought I'd have to have some kind of app to connect to my computer. He's like, why? Just join it from your phone and you can share from there. So I appreciate him doing that. Now, I'm going to jump on to the next part of this, which is, okay, Preston, that's all great, but we do have policies at this institution, and we can't just let everybody access everything all the time anywhere. So let's talk a little bit about how you can make that into a reality. Let's see. So I'm going to close. Well, I'll leave them so make sure I get you guys these links. So this is the next one I want to talk about: introducing conditional access for the Office 365 suite. And so really, if we just pull this up and we talk about this for a second, what we're looking at is when you're in Azure Active Directory admin portal, you're actually going to be able to go in there, create a new conditional access policy, and be able to include Office 365 as a single application. Now, hold on. Some of you guys are thinking, Preston, we've already been able to do this. Well, not exactly. You couldn't take all of Office 365 and apply a single conditional access policy to everything inside of it. There's been a lot of requests for this, and in particular, the thinking behind it when you read this article is that in order to make it easy for you to get started with conditional access policies, we needed something that said, okay, I want to be able to say, if I authenticated into Exchange Online, I should already have met whatever I need to get to the rest of the apps in this suite. Let's treat it as one application, and you can still do them independently if you wanted to, but if you choose to do them all as one, what's cool about it is when we add new services or features into Office 365, they will automatically be included into this conditional access policy. My favorite part of all of this is right down below this image, where it talks about setting it up in report only, or what I call audit only mode, so that you can start to see how well it's working, everything else, without actually impacting your end users. What's great about this is I talk to a lot of folks. Conditional access is really that thing that everybody is after. That's how we really deal with a perimeter-less environment, right? Where we've lost the ability to say everybody's inside our perimeter, will control it that way, and the cloud itself has become the new perimeter. Conditional access is that one thing that allows you to get a handle around all of that. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to step into it. If you're new to it and you kind of got that paralysis by analysis, or I'm a little bit fearful of impacting all of my end users, being able to step into this conditional access policy just for Office 365 and report only mode is a great way to go ahead, get started right now. So that's my opinion, big fan of it. Let's see, next piece here.
Can I chime in with a fun fact about conditional access that's been hot on our radar here?
Fire away, Scott, what's up?
We've been exploring the edges, which is that it's very interesting. You can actually apply conditional access to other people's accounts. So anybody that's in your account as a guest account, say from another tenant, a Microsoft or whatever, you can apply conditional access to that external user. So you'll see cases like your internal users claiming, I'm getting this MFA prompt. Well, they're getting it from some other site they've been added to and some other tenant at some other EDU. And additionally, we've started to see users banned, specifically, even though we are not licensed on our users for the threat detection, because Microsoft has added some of our internal users and they use that internally. We've actually gotten our accounts blocked on our tenant and disabled by the threat detection policies of Microsoft. So just kind of things to be aware of in this new world is that it's not just your conditional access, it's actually now other people's conditional access and their security features that they've enabled that happen to interact with your people.
Yeah, that's great, Scott. And wonderful point, right? Make sure everybody sort of understands where that falls in the scheme of Microsoft licensing funness is that is Azure Active Directory B2B that's actually enabling that so that you can say, for guests that come into my tenant, I'm going to go ahead and set conditional access policies, including MFA, against those users. And if they're enrolled in MFA, it will use their MFA from their Azure Active Directory or whatever IDP to challenge them for that, including other components, as you mentioned, within Azure Active Directory. So it's really kind of interesting as you start looking at, especially when you think about it in terms of what Scott was just talking about, which is the other way, when your users are the guests in someone else's environment and they get messages that say, talk to your administrator, and then you're the admin going, meh. So start to understand that's what's happening. Your users are now guests in someone else's Azure B2B environment. Very cool. Thanks for bringing that up, man. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about is, okay, so this is actually sort of, I'll say next in that environment. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. One of the things that we talk about is sort of what are our priorities for 2020 around identity. If you guys don't know where to find this, I always suggest that every one of you should be a member of techcommunity.microsoft.com. Again, techcommunity.microsoft.com. It's the one place that's not education only, but it's the one place that you can go and find out all the latest information from nearly all of our various product groups through the blogs that are there. It's how you find all the Ignite content. It's where you can go and communicate with people all over the globe that are doing the same jobs as you. So I want to put in a massive plug for that place. Now, when you go there, you can go into the Active Directory identity blogs, and you'll find out one of the things that we talk about here is connecting all applications and cloud resources to improve access controls in the user experience. The big toy that I like to talk about here is the app proxy, the Azure app proxy. In particular, what I find out is people kind of underestimate or underappreciate that app proxy and what it really is able to do for you in your environment. So I know a number of you use it, and it has. Think about it like this. I have all of these legacy applications online, and I need to be able to use those with all this conditional access, with all these controls. I need to have the same kind of reporting and insight into those. And so Azure Active Directory can sit in the front of those. In fact, it can handle things like Kerberos and WSFed and all that type of stuff as well. Handle some of that translation. It actually, Azure Active Directory can even set in front of RDP or RDS. So that came up in the open forum, I think it was, earlier this week within the Teams team for us for MS Office Hours. You can go back and look. I put the links in there about that, how you can publish RDS apps or RDP directly behind Azure AD, which means honestly, you can really start eliminating VPNs and especially that DMZ publishing on port 443. So let us handle that denial of service crap instead of you. That's the way I put that. So definitely go look at that. There was an announcement, it's here in one of my lists from us with F5 right here. How Microsoft and F5 are partnering for a more inclusive platform. It's great to come look at this and what you can do with the F5 and Azure Active Directory together to handle even more of that legacy application connectivity so that you can bring Azure AD into your on-prem environment. Really encourage you to go look at that. Now, when you do that, we come back to this idea of anytime, anywhere, any device, any app, any data, right? That's really what we're enabling. So people can get to that securely from anywhere. And then it becomes really kind of a user experience of, okay, great, but where do I find those? So two places where you're going to find all those. One is through the My Apps portal. Now, I mentioned the My Apps portal because perhaps in the past it wasn't as glorious as I would have liked it to have been. And that's the way I'm going to talk about that. We'll leave it at that. But today, I really like how you'll see these little categories up here, what we call workspaces, which inside of Azure Active Directory. So when you go to the portal.azure.com, go to Azure Active Directory, you can create a workspace. Once you've done that, then you can go into your applications and assign apps to those workspaces. In fact, I'll just pull up my own My Apps, and you can see it, although I don't think there's anything unusual or different or private about it. So these are the apps that pop up for me that I can access and jump right to. And then I have all apps back here. Now we could add more and more workspaces. You guys typically, like for students, might have one set of workspaces there, different set for other folks, so you can scope those as to who sees those. And so this means I can get to these applications anytime, anywhere. And so you notice these aren't just like my Office apps. These are all the line of business applications that we use. So for you, this might be curriculum apps, or it might be line of business apps that you guys have as well. So I'm a big fan of that. The last thing that I'll mention about that is actually that if we come back to, let's see, make sure I still have it open here, back to this, which is office.com. Actually, the best place to start finding those applications is even just right here under all apps. Well, there we go, once it loads up. So all those same applications that I publish also show up here. So I can just do a quick search for them and find them here as well. So I can search for things like travel, and MS Travel pops up right there for me, which was one of the apps you saw in My Apps. So as I move between devices and different things, I just know all of my stuff is literally right here. I really don't have to go any further than just coming here and then typing in what application I'm looking for or scrolling through and locating it. In fact, there's been some stuff around your ability to start editing and updating and controlling some of this. We'll dive into that at another time. But I hope this has been helpful. I intentionally tried to leave time, which I've not historically done well with, to see if you guys have any questions that I can answer about this, or even just not just the stuff I showed, but about how we can enable this anytime, anywhere access. Let's see, I do have a question here from Marge. I have an iPad. Is it a separate app for iPad from iPhone for the new Office? I'm not even sure if there is one for the iPad. I think that app or that thing said it was for phones and tablets, right? Did anybody notice that or know the answer to that? I'm going to look and see if
Preston, I had posted something on the iPad. It just simply says it's for the iPhone and lets you choose from any of the apps that you have installed. So it's not on the iPad yet.
So it's not there yet. It's for iOS, but only on the iPhones today. Okay, well, thanks. So can't you on your iPad though install the iPhone apps anyway, and it just still stays in that weird portrait mode?
Yes, absolutely. And when you install Office, it installs fine, but when you go to run it, it will actually say it's only for the iPad, and then you can learn more or simply touch it, and it allows you to select what app you want if it's pre-installed on the iPad.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Preston, the office.com dev environment, right? You see all the files that have been recently accessed. I find that it's often the case where I'm in a meeting with a projector, and those aren't files that you necessarily want people to know, whether it's financial or staff concerns. Is there anything that you can do to change that view so that when you're attempting to go to My Apps, or you're attempting to go to office.com to do administrative tasks where you have other stakeholders in the room, that you don't have to worry about potentially leaking that information? I know, like, for instance, in Edge right now, you can go into the tabs and go to the settings cogwheel and change it to like Microsoft News, go to custom, take off some of that content and go to content off. I found in the new Edge when you open a tab, but not specifically for things like office.com.
Yeah, to my knowledge, you cannot do that. And thank you for drawing the analogy to Edge, which allows you to set, how much do you want to expose this data, or you just want it to be news or clean or whatever. And I think that's a great point. And the fact that you can really use Edge to access a lot of this too. The only reason, I shouldn't say the primary reason, Ross, that I showed My Apps and why I am happy to see it refresh, and the reason why I actually use My Apps is because, to your point, I am in front of audiences a lot where I don't want to expose those things. And so I do launch from directly from there. I also keep direct links to some of these other things like to my mail and that kind of stuff, so I can get directly to it. So I understand why you would want to do that. The thing is the only thing that gets exposed typically when you pull it up is what's in that recommended. So there are about 4 files, or they can also be SharePoint news posts that will automatically show every time you open office.com. And I don't know how to make that recommended thing go away. But if I did, that would then actually slide up all the recents, which in that same space would probably expose twice as many file names. So the big thing is just file names and who the individuals are. I understand that desire, but I don't know of a way to control it.
Thanks. If you find out something different, just let us know. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I will tell you, I will promise to keep an eye on it because I personally would love that. Let's see. Is there a way in office.com to jump to myapps.microsoft or myprofile.microsoft.com? Yes, I think if you click on your own picture in the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the My Office profile. I'll check and see. Still sharing my screen here, just realized. So I just clicked on my picture in the upper right-hand corner, and that should take me right to the My Profile, which is exposing all kinds of things. So I'm going to move that. Exactly to Ross's point. I don't know what's going to pop up, so let's just not have it pop up. So that's actually pretty cool. That My Profile, when you click on it, is essentially showing me all the stuff from Delve. I can even save items for later. Okay, there's nothing on here that I'm going to expose as bad. Check this out. So all I did was click on my picture in the upper right-hand corner, and then clicked on My Office profile. And this is all new. I hadn't seen this before. So you can see what it did is it took me to Delve, to my Delve profile, and that's been updated. So that was pretty cool. I do not believe, how brave I am, I'm going to click this on the recording. I can always edit the recording before I publish. That's the benefit of being the publisher. So this does take me into here, but this doesn't really give me a good link into My Apps. What you can do is you can add the, there is a My Apps plugin to the browser. I haven't tried that. By the way, you also have this little Office plugin here, which you can use. That's not even the right user account, so we won't do that. But I don't know. I'm not finding a good way to get there directly. So good question. I don't have a good answer. Somebody else might. If they do, drop it in the IM window. Let's see. Any other questions I missed? Anybody need to pop anything up? Checking the channel as well. Don't forget the awesome PDF function in that app. Oh, that was from when I was showing that before. Thanks. Yep. All right. Good deal. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you very much for letting me rant and rave. Appreciate that.